Tell me when you're ready.
Go right ahead.
Well, first of all, welcome to my home. I'll show you around quickly. We're on the first floor at the entrance. And you'll notice these doors are quite tall. I'm 6'5", and I cannot reach the top of these doors. They're made out of solid walnut, and they have been restored. All of these have been stripped and restored, and much of the original hardware is still on it. There is a break, so when people come in through the front, they can clean off their boots, and the original tile is out here. And again, massive doors. These are not oak. I might have said that a moment ago. They're walnut.
Okay.
And it's a small heated area as well. And this was all restored as well. We pushed the ceiling up to the original height. And the lighting, as you can see, was put in the 80s, but it is period style. That wouldn't have been unusual in the 1800s. The building itself was built by a very famous architect by the name of Archimedes Russell. And therefore it's considered a historic building because he was the builder. It was originally built for the Catholic Church as the home of the bishop and of course his associate priests, monsignors, etc.
Right.
The religious.
Wonderful.
Now as I continue through it, the people coming into the house would have come to the door first, this front door, and you'll even notice some of the remnants, historical remnants. See this little cutout here?
Mm-hmm.
That they would have put their business card in here, or the calling card, and then it would be responded to and sent back through, and the person would then make an appointment to come visit. The original, you can see the shape here, and almost like an eagle type thing. This would have been the original doorbell, and you see a little cutout, see this little square? The doorbells originally were doorbells. They were in the door, you turn them. And that could actually be replaced with a period doorbell. I've considered it. The hallway itself that has a drop ceiling, so to speak, but it isn't. That's just acoustic tile put directly onto the ceiling. Of course, it's a massive and beautifully conditioned stairwell. And in the event that you ever needed somebody getting older to go upstairs, one of those chairs lifts can go right here, and it's already got electric for it.
Perfect.
This is what the ceilings originally looked like. And as you can see, the windows have these massive shutters. Those shutters are not just for looks, they actually keep out the weather. During the winter, we can close that, and if in the summer when there's too much sun and it heats up the space, you can close these shutters, and that will help reflect the heat back outside so that the high ceilings help with the cooling. And as you can see, this ceiling has been completely restored into what it was, including the original medallion. And as you can see, the woods are parquet.
Yeah, I noticed
and
that.
And there's a space, a square space for where the carpeting would have been. But at that point, they probably would have put a piece of rolled linoleum would have been in the center, usually checkered or something. So this space here, the doors were also restored. Now, you might be interested in this fireplace, and there's many of these fireplaces throughout the house. These were actually, are made of stone, but they are faux marble, so that would have required an artist to paint all these. And there's a lot of work goes into it with original tile work, and the tile's in good condition throughout. The original cast iron, these were reflectors. They're not a traditional fireplace. They weren't made for wood. You'll notice that there's almost like cotton type material here, and there is a place here to control a knob, and gas would come up through here, and this would glow orange and be basically a space heater. It was the idea of zone heating of the 1890s. Of course, that was replaced, and we now have, you'll see these pipes, 2 pipes. Mm-hmm. It's a 2-pipe system, which means that it doesn't knock. And as you know, when you use any kind of steam or water heating, it tends to knock, and that's because the cold returning of steam and or the water is hitting the hot going the other way, and that creates a knocking. Okay. I think you just got a hot glimpse of my girlfriend. Hi, sweetheart. Here's the living room. And this is tall ceilings. Again, with those windows that have the wood shutters that close. That keeps out the weather. It's very good for privacy as well. But for some reason, on this floor, the windows on these sides don't have those. Instead, they have more traditional shutters. Okay, and the room itself is parquet again in this room as well. Now this has the drop ceiling, and if you compare this ceiling to the ceiling in the other room that you just saw, you'll notice that this drop ceiling is only about a foot. So it really was kind of besides the point. That can be taken out, and the original ceilings are underneath. They may need some work, but the original ceilings are there if you choose to. And this has interesting, sort of ahead of its time, an open floor sort of design, because you can see we can move around and create a circle. I have a 3-year-old that's a stepdaughter to me, and she runs through this place and has a great deal of fun.
Absolutely.
It's a great place for a grandchild, and as you can see right there, this is my stepchild's toys and stuff. So there's plenty of space for living. Here's the dining room, and as you can see, this dining room will easily accommodate 10 people. There is, again, a high ceiling with lighting very reminiscent of what would have been the original lighting of that period of the 1800s. There is a green space in the backyard, by the way, probably one of the few green spaces in downtown area, and it allows you to do barbecues, and I used to project movies against the 3-car garage.
Nice.
Okay, so let me continue. These are sliding wood doors, and they have also been stripped and restored. And now moving out of this room towards the kitchen, you're going to see, before you get there, another fireplace.
There are 11 fireplaces total.
I can't remember the number, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful cupboard. And as you can see, anyone that's running a home, and I'm a cook, this is the most perfect cupboard you could possibly have. And there's a safe in there, by the way, in case you have valuable spices. Then you come into the kitchen, and this kitchen was restored from when I first moved here. When I first moved here, the floor in here was simple linoleum, and although it had kitchen mode, these cabinets are all solid wood oak, and they're from kitchen mode from the 80s, so they would have been considered super high end at the time. Well, they were dated looking, so one of the problems with that period is that this would have been open and it would have been dust collectors. Yep. So I ran it up to the ceiling throughout.
Sure.
Put in a tin ceiling, and I pushed this roof. For some reason, they had this down to about here and a cutout for the door. It looked ridiculous. So I pushed it up so it was all even. And the reason I didn't go up to the original ceiling is that I can't possibly use the original ceiling because this building has been renovated several times over the decades. And back in the 1920s, to put in all these bathrooms, because we have 8 of them, they had to run the plumbing somewhere. Oh, yeah. So this is the way that the plumbing is up inside there in the event that it needs service. But this ceiling is a tin ceiling, which I put in, and then the floor, I put a floating wood floor, but it's the faux, but it looks great. This is not marble. It looks marble, but it's very serviceable, and I've been using it for 20 years, so it's been great. The kitchen itself is really like a country kitchen. It's very wide and has tons of cupboard space throughout. And then a Sub-Zero refrigerator, which I don't know if you know, but these are incredibly expensive. And I actually altered this one to put the wood front on it so that it would look nice. This hood, unlike most hoods, and most hoods just circulate air through here.
Yeah, this section takes it out.
I took a traditional hood that comes with a lot of, and I redesigned it. And I put in, I made this, and I ran this outside. And if there's ever smoke in your kitchen, it will eliminate quickly. This thing is fast, and it's fantastic for ventilation for your kitchen. This is an original cooktop. I actually replaced this with gas one time, And frankly, it's better with this because I haven't found another one of these. This is the only electric stove stovetop I've ever seen with no hot spots. These are made of cast iron, and because they're made of cast iron, the heat is absolutely even across them. The only downside is they don't glow orange or anything.
So
That's
you
why
can't
they don't
tell,
make them
right,
anymore. But I would never replace this. It's great. It has this is refurbished by me. All new insulation, all new electric inside, and it's from the 80s. And I was going to replace it again, but then I discovered this is the first self-cleaning electric oven ever made. It's a great oven. It's lasted all these years because it was well made, and so I decided to keep it. Then as we move through it, there's an entrance that goes down the basement. By the way, I took off the molding because I realized it hadn't been glued and nailed. It was just nailed. So I was going to re-glue it and put it back up. Let's go towards the front and then go to the other side.
I don't know if you're gonna be able to send a file that big or whatever.
I'm gonna put it on YouTube and then give her the link.
Okay, now
So she
here,
can do like 15
as you can
lines.
see when we're in this hallway, there's this space for a way to the basement. And you can see there's a vent so you could get the cool air from the basement to come up.
Oh, that's interesting.
But that would have been a normal cooling method. And if you go all the way up through the cupola, they would open those windows and it would cause the heat to shoot up, the cold air to be drawn from the basement. And it was the air conditioning of the 1920s. And it would have actually kept the place reasonably cool. Now I put a floor in here and it's a closet because I didn't need two entrances to the basement, but the stairs to the basement are still there. And some people might prefer to use this as their entrance to the basement and take that other space and make more storage space in the kitchen. That'd be pretty easy. Now this is a renovation from the 1940s that we're about to enter. There is a space here for a door, just like all these other tall doors. That door is in the basement, so we still have it. But that door, its purpose was to enter one room. It's been cut into two rooms. I wasn't a huge fan of that, but it was actually, from a utilitarian point of view, pretty smart because it created two office spaces where people could have like their computer set up and things like that. Frankly, it could easily be brought right back to what it was, but this was originally the chapel. And I remember I told you this is a religious building.
Yes.
And so if you step into this part of the room, you'll see that there is the hole. And when somebody put in the heating in the bathrooms upstairs, this is actually one of those pipes for a vent, air vent, for the toilets and stuff that are upstairs. And so those bathrooms upstairs, when they did that and they had to put this pipe in, well, they didn't see any purpose for this window anymore, and there would have been a second one matching on the other side. And they covered them up, but I exposed them because I thought it would be a good idea to recreate the original religious purpose of this room, which was a chapel. This one does not have the parquet floor. This is the only floor in this part that doesn't, and I suspect there's a parquet floor underneath this wood floor. Because this would have been one room, okay? And if this wall was taken out, which would be pretty easy to do together with the drop ceiling. What we're standing at now would have been the original way to leave the house, because this building was originally a three-story building that was basically a square, and that three-story building back in the early 1900s was expanded. But before the expansion, the house would have ended right here. So this would have been an area where you'd change your shoes coming in the back door, and they would have had a barn back there for their horses and carriage. They would have had an outhouse. That's how old this is, 1860s. And this room is interesting with the wainscoting. This here is very interesting because priests would have a religious ceremony, or called a mass, in that room.
Right.
And then they would have crumbs left over, a wine from what they call the host, and it was part of the religious process called transfiguration, and they would body and blood of Christ. Well, being Catholic, they believed it was literally the body and blood of Christ. And what do you do with the crumbs left over and the little bit of wine at the bottom of the glass? Do you put it down the toilet? Do you throw it out in the backyard? Not if it's the body and blood of Christ.
Right.
So what they did instead is they have a vault underneath the basement here that's 6 feet down in the basement, and a pipe that brings it there. And then they would have just drip, 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 and then they would get rid of those crumbs and bury them as you would bury a body. So it's just kind of interesting little part of the history of the place that if anyone who lived here would probably think it's a pretty cool thing to have.
Absolutely.
Then as we continue, this would have been the exterior wall, as I said, and they extended it, and we would have been right now into outdoors, but then this was extended. And this is also an exterior wall. So at one point they extended it this way, and then they stopped, and then they extended it that way. Only this far, because another exterior wall. So this would have been the exit to the house. Well, then they pushed it out a little bit further and added yet another room. And so I get the sense from the construction techniques, etc., that each step would have started the first major addition, and there's a 2-story structure connected to a 3-story structure. The first step would have been early 1900s, 1910 or so. And they put in the first original bathroom. And then in the 1920s, they added in additional bathrooms, multiple additional bathrooms. And then they extended it this way. And then sometime in probably the late 20s, they did the last part. And that was probably part of what the religious purpose of this building was, which was that they had an office here, which we're going to see in a second, which people coming to the office for being in trouble would have come here and be yelled at by the bishop.
Did you say this is a half bath?
This here is another nice wood door. And you'll notice the bathrooms that you just saw one. This room here, I apologize, but we're moving, so there's a lot of stuff going on. But this room here was updated, and you'll notice that all the woodwork was stripped. All these walls here were insulated. So as we did renovations, we tried to make it more efficient as well. The original tile is in this room, which was underneath a shag rug, which we found. And then it leads to another bathroom. And if you look at these bathrooms, you'll notice something kind of nice about them, is that these bathrooms, we went with the wainscoting from the 1920s. Knowing this part of the building was from the 1920s, I made renovations consistent with the 1920s, including the kinds of tiles for the floor. And this is one of many bathrooms, and this was a bathroom for, well, my secretary at one point when she worked out of this spot. But I'm retired, so now I just live here. And then this bathroom was almost identical idea.
Yep.
1920 style bathroom. Now, the good thing about that bathroom in the corner is it's large enough you could put a shower in there and then make that a full bath, and you'd have a full bath on the first floor. We have 4 full baths. It's not like you need more, right. But if you actually had an elderly parent, that'd be perfect. It'd be first floor. You could use the ramp coming in the back off the kitchen, and then put them, then have a bathroom for somebody who is growing, disabled.
Sure.
This is the back staircase, and it's important to have 2 staircases for safety and for other reasons. And also, it's just more convenient to run down the kitchen. And as you can see, the style of the windows, etc., all this is like circa 1940s, 50s. And that is a good thing to have, because this is a little bit more efficient, these windows. Now we're still in the 2-story structure at the back. And this has additional rooms that could be turned into bedrooms. This is the first one that is sort of and this is what, if you look at these hardwood floors, these are what they call hard pine, okay? And those are original. I went down to them and sanded them and refinished them. And there's a little bathroom here. Of all the bathrooms, this is the worst bathroom, and it's perfectly suitable. It works.
All you need.
Yeah, it meets the minimum
Absolutely.
requirements for a bathroom. And it has two little corner windows, which, you know, corner windows is kind of unusual.
Yeah.
It's very hard to build them because it's hard to hold up a building and put a corner window. But this is kind of interesting. You can see out the back, towards the backyard. Then as you come through here, when I bought this, this was closed off, and I cut it out. And I wanted more light to come in this space. And when I originally bought the house, this was a step. You'd come through here and you'd step down, and there was a doorway here. Well, that looked like a menace to me, so we put a ramp in, and it's a nice transition between the two buildings, and there's no trip hazard, and I got rid of the door, replaced it with a period window, and the reason I did it was I wanted some light to get into that space, and that was the original bathroom. And if we come through here, I did a cutout, and again, you'll notice I did not put molding going up the sides of it. I did that on purpose because if you're going to make changes to a historic building, you don't put molding on them to make them look like they were from that period. You purposely demarcate so everyone knows this is something new. We're in a room here that if you look around, I did the wainscoting in through here, and it's files now, but this could easily be turned into a very nice room for someone to maybe, all of you have bedrooms here, a study area for kids or anything. And it's got a fan, so it's well ventilated, and it's wide open, so it's a nice little space. And then there's another bathroom, again, made to the period. And I want to point out that slop sink right there. That was from the original bathroom, and I saved it because I thought I wanted to keep as much of the history of the building as possible in the building. And it's also a really good place to fill up a bucket if you're going to take some Murphy's Oil soap and keep the house clean.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cleaning in this house. It's a big house, so you better be athletic. Now, this is a nice bedroom. Again, you got windows on all, the sides, so it's a well lit, lots of natural light. And originally, this room could go right into the bathroom. Well, having two doors going to a bathroom could lead to embarrassment, or some people might say bare-assment. And so I closed that off and put a bookcase there. Okay, so the person having this bedroom could have a bookcase, or you could simply take this out and put a door back in, and they could have direct access to the bathroom. Now, all the electric in this place has been replaced. We had electricians in here for a long, long time running all new wires everywhere. And there's a new service in the basement for the electric, which is a nice thing to have because this would have been ball and tube at times, right? So we replaced that ball and tube to where it still existed, which was a couple of places. It had been fairly updated by the priests over the years, but then I updated a lot more, and I had some electricians living here practically for a few months, along with plumbers. Another fireplace, it's the same style idea. It would have been, if you look this to the exterior wall, this isn't that deep, but it goes all the way up. It's vented like any chimney, but the idea was that was for gas. And these could be converted to gas again. And some people might even prefer that. Now let's, yeah, this is the hard pine, yeah. And we continue. Now we're on the second floor. And if you're here on the second floor in this hallway, you're going to notice some things that are kind of cool about it. Now, I want to point this out. See this swale here? Mm-hmm. I haven't fixed it yet, but I'll tell you what this is. This place is plaster and lath. When I originally came here, there were quite a few walls with what they call wallboard, and then the 2x4 construction. Every one of the walls that I've encountered that were wallboard and 2x4, I removed. I want to get back to the original layout as Archimedes Russell, a world-famous architect, intended. So it's been a peeling away process owning this place. The problem with plaster, and I fixed it many places, is it does this occasionally. And if you listen to this, hollow, hear the hollow sound? what happens is plaster is pushed through laths, and as it pushes through, it expands, and that's what holds it. Over many, many years, particularly when they have a heating source right near it, like this one, what's going to happen is that's going to dry out, they're going to break, and it's going to pull away. Not that hard to fix. I fixed several of them. And this square goes from here to about here. So we're not talking about a big piece, and to about here. So this little square, all you do is you take these screws that have like plates on them, and you drill a couple of holes through here, and you extrude glue in them. And the glue will push into the lath again, and then you tighten up those screws a few turns each until they're all pushed up back into place, skim coat it, and then you'd have to re-wallpaper it. But I just thought it was kind of an interesting lesson of how these things go over time, and any house that's plaster and lath is going to have that happen over decades.
Why don't you talk about the two-pipe system there while you got it?
Oh,
Oh,
well,
yeah, is that the one you were talking
these
about?
are two pipes, but they were
Oh,
throughout
did
the
you talk
entire
about it?
building.
Did you talk about it already?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, okay, perfect.
And
Oh,
as you
there,
see,
right
they
there.
go all the way up to
Yep,
the third
very good.
floor. So we can see that the two-pipe system goes to the third floor,
Yeah.
okay? And you can touch them, they're warm, and one is returning water, and the other one is water going up. In this main hallway, you'll notice the ornate staircase and the view right there all the way downstairs, which is really quite lovely. And the idea would have been, this would have been the grand entrance. This building went through a renovation. The third floor was not originally part of the living space. It was a servant's quarters. How do I know that? There's a few different clues they left. As we go down this hallway, first thing you see is this really odd space here. That's because this staircase, and if you compare this one to that one, they're slightly different. They're both high-end, but they're both different. And the reason is this one was put in later, because this was not the original way to get to the third floor. This door here is the original way to get to the third floor, and it would have been a staircase going up. But they removed it, and now the great thing about that renovation is it creates this closet here and a continuation of it on the other side. So you end up with these huge closets, which you wouldn't have had they not changed this building sometime in the 1890s, probably. And now you got a closet in the hallway, plus there's one for the bedroom. And there's 4 bedrooms off of here. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, those all in the 3-story structure. And here's an example of the bedroom. This one was renovated too, this room. And when I renovated it, this room, like the one downstairs, I ripped it right down to the beams that come down, and I had that wall insulated. And there's a floating here. There was a technique I used for this room, which I probably would never use again, which is you take very, very thin 1/8 inch wallboard and you put it over it because there were too many of those buckles in this room, and that allows it to be a nice smooth wall, but it does obliterate a little bit of your molding, okay? It takes away some of the detail.
Sure.
Hardwood floor again, and you notice on the second floor they don't use parquets. The idea is that you go a little bit more high end as you go down to where company is.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and this has the huge walk-in closet, not walk-in, but very large closet. On one end, that's where the staircase is at, okay? And then there's this entrance into the other room,
Adjoining rooms.
so that you could actually have it almost like a suite. This could be a great master suite where you'd have a sitting area in there and a bedroom in here. These also have those windows as we talked about. And then we have a bathroom circa 1940s, which when you're in this room, it's the tile floor from the 1940s. It's the tile on the walls that from the 1940s, and a nice full bathroom. My stepdaughter uses this, and it's a great bath for a kid. And there's 2 of them. That's a matching bathroom. So those are the 2 1940s style tile, but I think those bathrooms were put in the 1920s. And the plumbing for those bathrooms go into those ceilings with the drop ceilings that we saw. Okay? And this one's identical. Again, fireplace, the big closet, the walk through into
The other.
so that you could turn them into 2 master suites. With again the matching bathroom. And I apologize for this, but
No.
my
No need.
My girlfriend taking a shower. Not right this second, thank goodness. But you can see it's it's that style. Then as we go up the hall from these two bedrooms, the two front bedrooms, here we have a way to look out on the main street. And I want you to know that they're doing some renovations in the city of Syracuse, and there's going to be basically a huge park / boulevard going up this street, where now it has a church across there. I believe they're going to be tearing down that church as part of this expansion. It's a beautification thing for which I think they're spending over $1 billion. And they're taking out there's an overpass about 120 yards that way.
Oh, yeah, that's gone.
That's going to be gone, and this is all going to have a park type of feel out this window. As you can see, this is a closed-in space, and people seem to love this space. I'm the only non-fan of this space, and the reason I'm a non-fan is it's not original. That would have been an open porch originally. And the reason I like that is that these, which I did a little what they call urban archaeology, I took off the plate so I could see that they actually have the folding as well. And the only thing stopping these from opening are the hinges for this, because this would have been pushed back about 6 inches. And then this would have been able to close with those same kinds of blinds. I think that that's a thing worthy of doing, but others might disagree and put the plate back on and keep that cute little room that people seem to love.
Right.
Did you, I mean, on a nice summer night, you go up here, you could have a nice glass of wine or whatever, enjoy,
Oh, yeah.
you know, the city, the happenings in the city here on North Salina.
Which won't be North Salina the way it is today.
Yep.
But that's not, again, not original to Archimedes Russell's vision of this space. He would have had this almost like a doors, French doors that opened out onto a porch. And then you'd have air going. You could still have a glass of wine, but only on summer nights. This room here, again, you feel how nice this heat is.
Oh, yeah.
I know that your guest isn't here, but the heat here is very moist, which is very good for your skin. This room here was renovated much more recently. This room was originally shag rug on top of this beautiful wood floor, and then every piece of molding in this room had been ripped out by the church when they owned it, and I had to replace it all, including building these. I had to build these, so these are new. You don't get new in this. I built them myself. I actually even had to build these windows because they had an air conditioning unit that was permanently in place, so I had to make this window. But this room, I modeled it so that it would be as close to the original as possible, and I think I did a reasonable job. The only change I made was, back in those days, they wouldn't have had lighting in the ceiling.
Right.
I added high efficiency lighting into the ceiling with LEDs to increase the lighting in the rooms, and in doing so, the ceilings look a little bit more modern, as you can see. But I figured on the second floor I could get away with that, and I thought it would just make the place a nicer place to live. Come on this way, and I'll show you the fourth of the bedrooms. And this room, as you see, we just were recently working on windows. So the work continues. It never stops, but this has original woodwork in this room. All the walls have been restored. These walls have not been replaced like the ones in the other room. But we did update the ceilings, including creating this little step down to create a little nook here where you could have a little couch or a little table and chairs. And with these windows, you can see we try our best to preserve the history. These are the original weights, which I was trying to rehang in the windows, so the windows would work as they were designed. But you can see little plates like this one, naming Harry Hoyer, who painted this house in 1927.
Yeah, there's a plate there.
Yeah, so we try to keep as much of the history intact as possible. And we put a nice chandelier in this room from 1920s style period. But
It's got zoning in it too with the heating, right?
yeah. Now the other thing that I found out is while doing again part of that urban exploration, I found that there were pipes in the wall, and they go on either side of the fireplaces. So I used those pipes as runs for wires to create electric lights over near the fireplaces, sconces. Originally there would have been sconces, but the sconces would have been gas operated, and those were gas pipes that we're now using as conduit. But anywhere where you see a fireplace, there's a conduit right in that wall that you can run and have sconces on either side of the fireplace, which is pretty elegant. And up the stairs we go. Now, when I moved here, this staircase, of course, was already here, but this room was cut out. There were multiple walls here that were all taken out, and the cupola was closed off. So the good thing about that is that required me to remove the covering to the cupola, and then I restored all the windows up there, and there are 12 of them. And those windows are now all operational. And you can get up in that cupola and on a hot summer day, open them halfway, and you can pull down the tops at the same time. And when you do that, because it's so high up, it catches the wind and it moves, it blows through that square of windows, and that creates a draw, and all the heat that's building up in the house shoots right out the top. So talk about efficient air conditioning of the 1920s. Now this room is, you'll notice it's beautiful, large hardwood floor here, and throughout the third floor. Not original, I put all those in. And all these hardwood floors, they didn't have them on the third floor because the third floor was for servants. They just would have had some pine covered with some tarp covered with some linoleum. Well, they had cut that up sometime in the 1940s, and then just put down linoleum. So this was a linoleum floor when I moved up here. But originally, back in Archimedes Russell time, this grand room that we're in would have been something of a ballroom in their house. Now it's a large family room on the third floor. And I used it, as you see it was laid out with these tables, this was used as a courtroom by me. I taught at the law school for over 25 years, and
Wow.
I have students in here, and I teach them how to try cases in this room. Now, this room is kind of like winning the lottery if you have a lot of kids, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bedrooms on this floor alone. They're not all huge, but they're all reasonably sized. Here's one of them. And if you look, it has the windows that look out over the street. And this was an office, but of course, we're taking it apart, we've been getting rid of everything. And again, hardwood floor. And this room connects with this room. You can put the door back into place anytime you want. And then this room is a smaller bedroom with a closet, okay? And again, it looks out, it has a big window looking out over the street. Then you walk through here. George is here doing some work today, but George has a large room, and it's kind of like with those officers on the first and second floor,
Right.
the size of a bedroom. That's almost like a master bedroom, okay? Then there's bathrooms adjoining, men's and women's. 2 bathrooms for this floor. And as you can see, I put down marble, and I put in, if you look here, there's a nice little vanity with toilet, and you look out over the back and you see the roof. That's the roof to the 2-story structure.
Shower.
So this
Same.
it's the same, identical, men's and women's. And there's a little bedroom here, but my girlfriend's in there right now,
No
so
problem.
I'm not gonna bother her. But here is my another bedroom. This is for my 3-year-old, and you see it's a nice bedroom again with the window that looks over and a nice closet. Okay, and there's another last one over in the corner here. So you can get quite a family just on this one floor. And this is a nice bedroom with fireplace and closet. So you've got multiple bedrooms up on this floor. Now you could actually use those 2 rooms as a suite for a teenager. Then this bedroom, there's 2, 1 in there, 3, 4, make it 5, and one of them has a suite. So I think that sort of completes our tour of the interior. However, you can stop the film and then he's going to go downstairs and show you the basement. And the good thing about the basement here is that the basement here, you're going to see there's a new electric service down there. The boiler has within the past 12 months, the firebox, which is the bottom part of it, it's where all the heat is generated,
Right.
has been completely replaced. There's a large water heater put in 2022. There's one finished room in the basement because all this building is built in the 1800s. The basement, you'll see that it also took steps. Like the original basement for the 3-story structure, then there was a little small portion of the basement that had basically a root cellar, which is still there, which you could put your potatoes and carrots and all those kinds of things there and store them because they stay cool all year long. And the original fireplace from which the servants would cook meals is down there with an area. I think there's an area there to get down to a well, but it's been covered. But I think it's still there.
The roof is how old, Joe?
This roof is much more modern. The roof on this building I put in maybe 10, 12 years ago. And when I first put it in, there's a cupola on top of it, which is almost like a little square on top of the cake of the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And when they did that, they didn't put the flashing on it. So that was just recently repaired because we had a little bit of a leak
Yes,
because
in
of
that
it.
room right there. I saw
Yeah,
it.
and that's been there's no longer leaking.
Yeah, I figured it was an old wound. So.
And I had that all tarred, which is good for like 10, 12 years. But it needs some new flashing on one corner. But it was repaired. The most recent repair was done in the past 12 months when that developed. Also, there's a huge front staircase that's made of stone. That was over 100 years old. So it was starting to sag. So we went underneath that about 2.5 years ago and put a cinder block to support it, to sort of update it and make it more secure.
Perfect.
And in the basement, as I said, you're going to see this new electric.
Perfect.
You'll see the new
Keep it
one.
running.